Hey, hey, hey! Hello, traders, noobs, apes, and everyone else. Doesn't matter, here, everyone is part of Drippy Gang. To those who are new, I am Drippy, your source of options drip on a daily basis. Here, we talk about some of the most exciting setups based on the options flow, technical analysis, pattern analysis, macroeconomic events, and current market structure. So, if you want to make some tendies, stick around. My goal is for all of you to achieve financial freedom and create life changing wealth. On the screen, I have my Twitter account dedicated to this channel and interacting with you folks. So make sure you follow me there for free alerts, my entries, exits, rumblings, etc. The handle is at drippy2hard. So in the last video which I shared yesterday, I shared my strategy in detail here, and I hope some of you are starting to, use it to find some of the setups. And this strategy utilizes unusual whales, which is my main source of options flow data. So I highly encourage you to try. Also, unusual whales bro, if you're watching this video, I would love to be an affiliate if that's a thing. Alright, before we proceed today, please note that the content I share here are my opinions. I am not a financial advisor. You're responsible for managing your risks and taking profits. So without further ado, let's proceed with today's agenda. I'm going to cover our previous setups, IFF, MGI, PPL, and then 4 new setups. I'm very excited to talk about them. These are bullish setups, and I have literally scoured the internet to find these setups for you. And one quick thing about these setups is that these are different and unlike the last week because the market structure has changed, and there's a high chance that at least 2 of them will be winners next week, irrespective of the market, except of course it crashes. Now, like I told last time, the CPI data is coming soon. And what that means is that all eyes will be on that. Investors are cautious. They don't want to take risk. And that's why tech is super weak. And look at this chart. This is percent of stocks above 200-day moving average. Now, almost this is a critical level here, right? This has been a long-term support, and this has been on a downturn since February of this year. So 50% of the stocks are above 200 moving average. So this is a market breadth indicator, and this is one of the way you find market, what's the structure right now, and it's not looking good. It had a bounce and came back. And also, if you look at the percent of stocks above 50-day average, and again it's 42, so this is bad as well. It was 58 around last week, but then it dropped significantly, so it's hovering around this support area, and that's again not a good sign. So market breadth is weak right now, and given that fact, and also on top of that, our QQQ is weak. Look, it broke this EMA cloud on the daily, the short EMA, and every time it has done that, it kind of dropped to this EMA 3450. But I personally don't think this is, there's a support area around 372 here, but in my opinion, I think Monday we will have a tech will perform strong. I think this QQQ and SPY dropped because Apple had a bad news, and Apple is literally in both SPY and QQQ, and it has a decent, like both hold a decent amount of Apple. So if Apple goes down, the whole market goes down, and if Apple goes up, the whole market goes up. And we have seen this in the past. Like Apple had a big drop, so when Apple drops on a high volume, everything will drop. So our QQQ and SPY has the same pattern here, but the good news is that there's this long-term trend line here, and also we have a 3450 moving average here on the daily EMA, and it will act as a support. So I'm expecting a bounce here, and this is also kind of like a demand zone around 440, 441. So in my opinion, I'll start looking into puts on tech in general. When it breaks this trend line and goes down, then then I'll be bearish on the market. Until then, I am fine. And then let's talk about our last week's setup. I know IFF was kind of disappointing for me and you folks because we were expecting it to rally, but what's keeping me hopeful is that the open interest still is high here for IFF, and I don't like there was no activity on Friday even after such a big bearish hammer, right? So if you look at the flow history here for IFF, I mean, we still have calls, puts are low even though the price decreased here. So what does that tell you? That tells you that people have not sold these contracts yet. Otherwise this volume would have been more. So I am bullish just because of the fact that people have not sold their contracts and whales have not sold their contracts. And the way to verify that would be to go to this section here and then see the open interest for 152.5 call expiring 17th is still 5570. So I am still bullish. Now we'll see how it turns out. So let's look at the chart here. We had this previous anchored VWAP from this swing low, and that was acting as a support. But keep in mind, this is still in consolidation zone, right? This is near the end of the zone. And so one thing that can happen if like whole market dumps, it will test this trend line again as it has in the past, right? Like, so look at this, as it has done in the past, it might do that. And another thing which caught my attention was that look at this low volume. So this moved that much on low volume. So this seems like someone wants you guys to sell your contracts. So like usually I feel like if it's a dump, like investors have lost interest when like usually that like when you have a very big candle here, right, on the volume. And then another thing to note is that there is a volume gap here, and then there is a support from this VWAP here. There is a support from our on the weekly. I think there is a so I think we have these trend line support and this one. So game plan for me next week would be that if it breaks this trend line, I will sell all my calls. I'm not going to average down. I told you that's not a good idea. So you can buy puts, and then once it touches this level, sell your puts, and then you can buy the dip here. I think this will be a good spot to enter because your risk reward again would be break of this trend line, right? And it has not done that in past so many times, right? And then if you look at the overall chart, nothing has changed, right? It's still bullish chart. Let me clear this up a little. So yeah, like it's still a very bullish chart in my opinion because it just broke out of this it's on all-time high pretty much. very close to all-time high, sorry. And then also this, it broke out of this whole resistance area here, and now it's just, you know, on a tier. So and again, like the flow data is bullish, so I'm bullish on this. You know, it might have a small dip, but you guys can decide if you want to keep your calls. If you have October calls, you can keep it, but if you have September 17th ones, I would say that just, in my opinion, there's no point you know, holding them. And if you haven't bought yet, just wait until it kind of like what happens, right? In my opinion, tomorrow I'm expecting a bounce, and again for it to go back up, since it's still in this consolidation zone. And materials in general, this whole sector looking bullish, and dividend is coming up here. So usually what that means is that price, you know, like look at this history here, like during this dividend time, it was on the top of the channel. Like during this dividend time, it was top of the channel. So like usually, you know, investors kind of raise the price up because you get more dividend, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Let's move on to the next one, MGI, MoneyGram International. So again, if SPY, QQQ, Dow Jones, all are down, everything will be down. This is not a surprise to us. But look, the volume is low here. This is low volume, so it's just, that means that there are not a lot of buyers. It doesn't mean that there are a lot of sellers. And also, you know, this VWAP here, you know, it's not a perfect sign. So look here, like it went up and then went down here again. So I mean, a little bit up and down doesn't matter, you know. It still has the trend line support. So in my opinion, this is a good entry point. And again, like RSI is trying to turn positive here, and it's basing out here. It might need more time than I thought. Like it might need maybe like 1 or 2 weeks more, but my thesis hasn't changed. Everything is same, profit target is same. So I'm still expecting it to move, and then nothing has changed here. So let's move on to PPI. Now PPI, I actually missed like early morning, like in the morning until like half midday. I was like, well, it looks really great because it, you know, like bounced up, but then I just realized at the end of day it had this closing candle. And it's not surprising, because every time you have a bearish hammer close, it's usually followed by a hammer, like a bearish activity the next day, and the whole market is dumping. One thing to keep in mind here is there is a small gap here. So what I'm thinking is that on Monday, you know, like it might just fill this gap and then bounce off. I mean, it is kind of retesting this area right now. So again, it might be a good dip buying opportunity. But if it breaks below this area around 29 level, then it's going to, sorry, let me move this. It's going to retest this level. But what's keeping me bullish is the flow, because again, like this is why I have conviction. Why did it PPL, sorry. Yeah, so like people, I don't know, is this one of you apes? But in general, open interest for 31 and 32 calls is still high. And let's verify again, that are people selling this or are people buying calls? And the way to do that would be to go to flow history here, and then you look at the other day volume, and again look here, call volume percent is more than puts. So at least we know that people are not buying puts. So in my opinion, what is happening is that people sold some calls, like covered calls, because bullish premium is less than 70%. And if you want to verify what calls were sold, you can go here, full chain breakdown, and show charts. And like even with this whole bearish activity, you can see here that 57.5% is still bullish premium. So I mean, here you can see that at the hourly, yeah, so this is this side on the right is the bearish premium, and on the left is bullish premium. And you can see here that at the end of day we have more bullish activity than bearish. So again, flow is looking really solid here. That's why I am positive that this will move in our favor. And then let's look at the chart. So again, I told you that it just like nothing has changed here. It's still in this squeeze, and RSI is above 50, momentum is positive. This is ascending triangle. I mean, some people can call this a bull flag, and I don't disagree, but in my opinion, like, this was because of the whole COVID scenario. So I mean, you can look the way you want it to be. In my opinion, this has already, like, it's near the 50% of the drop. So in my opinion, that's strong. It's a strong stock, and seasonality is strong. So my hope is that it will run. And also there was this news that Credit Suisse, I think, like, increase the price target to $32. So if that's, if investors, I mean, it doesn't mean that will go 32 tomorrow. It just means that it has positive news, and Credit Suisse is important, and like, analyst and price targets are respected by investors for that, those, from those analysts. So in my opinion, still bullish. There's short-term bearish activity, but flow tells otherwise. So let's move on to our next setups, which I haven't talked about, but I'm excited about. So I will tell you, why I'm excited about them, and also how each of them are different. So now look at this GSKY, and I know some of you might have heard the name, right? And on the right side, you can see it's like a software company, and as a lending platform. So I mean, lending platforms are right now hot, upstart hot, right? And this one, if you look at the chart from a monthly perspective, first of all, yeah, I mean, charts like these, one thing, it's a common pattern here. I think my mouse has low battery here, so I'm not sure how long this will last, but let's keep it rolling. So one common pattern here is that, when there are three touches here, this is a wedge, falling wedge, it's kind of like a wedge pattern, and when third touch happens, there's a rebound. But in this case, it's trying to retest this level. And if you look at from a monthly perspective, and if you look at weekly squeeze, just fired here in August, and it has not even made the move yet. So it's looking really, really bullish. And also it looks like, look how beautiful this consolidation is. And on Friday it made it was low volume here, so it wasn't really like, every time you see big green bars and then also red bars here, that means that in general, like, this is consolidating, and it's kind of like cup and handle, like this is a handle cup is on a daily time frame. So in my opinion, this is ready to roll. And also it's in daily squeeze, momentum is really strong, relative volume is increasing, MACD is about to turn positive. So in general, looking good. And then price targets, I mean, in my opinion, as I told, like, it's gonna retest this level. And then how soon does it do it? Who knows? I mean, look at this. If it continues this kind of momentum, and the earnings were really solid, 343% surprise. So, sector is hot, earnings were amazing, and that's why it just ran, consolidated, and it's ready to make the next move up, and we want to capitalize on that. And and also let's look at the flow for this. For for last couple of days. So first GSKY, and you can see here someone sold a call, and this is probably because this is 2022 expiry, so I don't care because this is not near term. And so what I'm curious about is the flow history. Yeah, so now look at the flow history. I think this one will just move. Flow is not that positive at this point of time, and you have to realize why would it be, because it hasn't really moved much, and it's still consolidating. And the other day it kind of like showed us that it's kind of hinting towards moving there. Now that's, maybe it will come here again, retest this consolidation zone here, but who knows, we don't know. So always wait for the break of 8.57, 8.6 level. That is a good entry point in my opinion. And then once it breaks that, given the momentum here, I think this is gonna, like in 4 or 5 days, it's gonna move up. So whenever that happens, let's say it happens next week, buy weekly calls. And the profit target is amazing. If it goes in our favor instantly, let's say it goes all the way here in a couple of days, 1500, so that's 1500%, so 15 times your money. And you can do this calculation. I already did it using option strat here, so I'm gonna skip it to kind of like respect our time here. But overall, I'm bullish on this setup, and I think it's gonna make a move soon. Let's move on to our next setup here. MLCO. I shared this one on the Twitter, because as soon as I saw it, like flow was hella bullish, and also the chart overall looks pretty good in my opinion. Like this is a great entry point because your risk is literally just 12.5. If it breaks that, you can just get out. But keep in mind there's like a volume gap here, but I'm not worried about this because this stock has a history of creating like gaps and not filling, so don't worry about it. I think even if it does, we know our stop loss. If it goes down here and retest this level, great, then we buy it around this area. But I think some whales are trying to create gamma squeeze, and the reason why I'm so bullish is because the casino gaming sector is so hot right now. Look at Penn chart, look at DraftKings, right? They have been running non-stop. Right, Penn looks like it's about to break out on this like VWAP resistance. And then also if you look at DraftKings, right, DraftKings has run so much here, and now it's kind of in this consolidation area. So all of these have run, and MLCO is next. And also the reason why I'm also like bullish on this is also because there is a news here. I think MLCO operates some of its business is in Hong Kong, and there was a news that Hong Kong is going to allow casino and gaming from starting September 20th. So you can go and look at that news on Twitter. Just type the ticker name and it will show up. And that's also another reason to be very bullish on this. And let's look at the flow here. So look at this now. This is 15th of October and 151k, and I told you, right, in my strategy I'm looking for anything above 100k here, and so close to expiration. And so these are two big orders, right, in the morning, even though the price dropped so much, and these guys haven't sold their calls, so they are still holding. And I got in when I saw this, and I averaged down a little bit because of my position. I have done like 50% of my position right now, and I'm waiting for it to break the level which I told for to add more. and if it drops below my stop loss, I'm gonna get out. But overall, open interest is greater than volume for $15 call. I mean, look at these strikes here, 14, 15, right? And look at the chart here, it's at 13. So these are out of money calls and so close to expiry with the large money behind it. I am in, you cannot get better than that. And also look at the flow history here. It's been non-stop calls. I mean, the average is 9.2k, so this is a liquid stock, but put to call ratio is low. Bullish premium is increasing, and also it just made a big move here. So even though it dropped 6.5%, people are buying the dip. They're buying calls here, and so many calls. Greater than 70% is my criteria here. It's meeting that, so everything is looking good. Charts just broke out of this long-term resistance here, and it's retesting. So my hope is that breaks, retests, and then bounces off from this demand zone. So even if it touches, let's say $15, right, which is around like 10%. So if it moves, we have already made 500% for September 17th. And let's say it touches all the way around this area, which it can do, because you see here how, like, when it starts, it just goes. So it can do that. And if it does, boom, 50 times your money, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen in a week, but we can roll our contracts and keep making money on this. So I am very, very bullish on this because the option flow is so bullish, and in general, like, the sector is hot, there is good news, so everything is great. And in my opinion, this is going to run even harder, just in general, because it's in monthly squeeze. And also, if you look at the chart here, like, this is a common pattern where, there's usually a retracement back to, like, it tries to test the trend line third time, and every time it has come around this zone here, it has bounced back. And like, if you look at this monthly candle here, which was last month, you can see it's kind of like a hammer close. And now usually it's hammer close is like, look here, like a hammer, and it went up. So we are expecting at least for it to go up, but in my opinion, it's gonna go until at least test this level again. And seasonality is also strong, as I told, like, casino gaming is hot right now. So overall, I really like this setup. It's different than GSKY because in GSKY's case, earnings were really good, and also like, it's a different setup. But in this case, GSKY already made a big move. In this case, it's gonna make the big move. So our risk reward is better in this one. Now let's move on to the next setup. And this one, like, I wanted to show you guys that you can trade other setups. So this is ultimate bullish setup, and the reason is simple. Look at this move from last 3 weeks. It's just on a tear, and there is a reason behind it. And look at these volume bars here, like crazy volume. Like, the relative volume is so high, like it's 4 times, like on Friday it was 4 times the average volume, average of 21 days. And like, the earnings were not that great, so that is kind of like was a red flag for me. But then I realized that why is it running so much if earnings are bad? And the reason is because macroeconomic events are so strong, and non-energy minerals are hot. This company mines them, and if you're not aware, non-energy minerals are hot right now because they are so critical, and also they are vital components of basic industry and infrastructure in the United States. And with the Senate trying to pass infrastructure bill and EV bill, I mean, like, this is why investors are just like piling up on this one. And one thing to keep in mind here is, like, how do you trade setups like this? So in this case, you can see here that this area is kind of like resistance here. And but the good thing is that it has been consolidating around this area for a couple days. And it made a new high on Friday. And I believe it's all-time high. So momentum is strong, it can continue doing that. And daily just turned positive here. Look at the MACD here, volume is increasing daily. So yeah, I am very bullish on this setup. Like if it falls down, this is a good area to enter. Let's say it breaks and retest this area, good buying opportunity. So and if it let's say that it breaks around like 5.8 to 6 area, then you can buy call contracts 6.5, 7 and 7.5. These are psychological levels, since you don't have anything to compare against. There is no market, there is no structure on the left side here, so you have to rely on psychological levels and fib levels. So in this case, fib levels are kind of around psychological levels. And then in general, like if you look at the flow here, very bullish from last week actually. And on Friday, like bullish premium was greater than 80% and call volume was greater than 800%. So let's see here, right? What was the NXC? So yeah, look at this. I know the premium amount is not a lot here, but these are far out of money calls and they're expiring September 17th. So that's why I will, like, my verdict on this is to wait and observe. If it goes, go with it, right? 7.5 was my target as well. And also if you look at the flow history here, like people have been buying contracts on this one since last week. You can look here, call volume is so high, put volume is low, and then the premium is greater than 70 except this day, like, and this one, but like on Friday it was 83%. And overall call size is like almost 8,500, so average is 1K. So it's still looking great in my opinion. So yeah, keep this one on your watch list, as will I. Moving on to our next setup here, INVE, Identif is the name. And again, this is very, very bullish setup, and there is a reason behind it. This is basically the child of like semiconductor and security. So security, like it creates, you can read here what this company does, physical security, but it's basically like semiconductor is hot right now, and security like Zscaler, CrowdStrike, NVIDIA all have run so much, and this is obviously following the same pattern, and it's not even stopping anymore. $20 is a psychological level. That's why you see here that it kind of didn't cross it, but once it moves past that, I think it might. This is extended fib level, so 22.5 is my target, and whales are also targeting that. Call volume on Friday was 4,000%. And another thing to note on price action here, like it just broke out of this long basing. It was just kind of consolidating in this area. So if you look at any chart like that, right, let's look at Netflix. Similar pattern, right? In case of Netflix, it was weekly consolidation basing here. And there are many patterns like this you can see. So once they move quick, and they will move hard. So we want to capitalize on that. And look at the volume here. Earnings were also pretty solid, 325% surprise here. Last earnings were also solid, 14% surprise. RSI is also approaching overbought territory. So how do you know when is a good buying area here? Like let's say it pulls back. So the way my strategy is always to look at this candle. Like if it drops below 50% of this candle, which is around like 19.11, 19 area, that's my stop loss. And then basically 1/3 of this candle here is up good pullback area to buy dips. So this is how you get like when there's a huge candle like this, you can like calculate your key levels based on that. So you can either buy a dip here, or you can go up. You can wait until it kind of breaks the level 20, and then next stop would be 21, 22, 22.5. And whales here are actually very, very bullish. So if you look here at the yeah, look at that, boom, 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 all calls, no puts. But 2022, the large amount is for 2022, and also, but some of these are for October. So what that means is that big move might come soon. It at least means that people are buying calls to show us that the momentum is strong here. And I mean, these are the call size. Look at that, it's 800% almost of this, and zero puts. So and bullish premium is 90%. These are the things I look for, and the historical flow looks pretty good here from the other day. Now keep in mind, this has run a lot. And another thing you should notice here is that look at the ATR band for this. So ATR means that average true range for a stock. So this is the daily 21, and it has moved to 3 ATR from there. And every time it does that, there is a pullback, right? Except in this case here. So in my opinion, I'm expecting a pullback to around this area, and then it might run. But who knows? Momentum is strong. Investors are greedy. It might just run. So it can move anytime. Setups like these, as I told, right? If the momentum is so strong with them, like look at the weekly ATR here, right? It still has a long way to go, like 21.78. So even if it goes to that area, premium spike would give us good amount. Now, I mean, you guys have to realize that like we will not get 10x 15x all the time. Like the call buying in general is less in this market. Like puts are like more than the calls. And the way you can kind of analyze that is like, look at this. This is put to call ratio, and then you can look here like 0.7. So what that means is that like anything above like one is like this is like the COVID time, it's bad. Anything below like this area, like this is good for us. Call, people are buying more calls, but in this area people are buying more puts. The call volume in general is low. So we need to keep that in mind, and that's why it's very important to take profits. You don't want to wait until like like keeping targets in mind. This is a problem I've seen a lot of people kind of deal with, is like they think in their mind that I will wait until 22.5. That's not like a good strategy, because this is already run so much. So you have to keep that in mind. Like if you risk reward in this one, definitely is like risk is more, because there is no level here. This candle is so big, but still a bullish setup. Keep it like in your radar. And also like look at its behavior here, right? It creates this big bars, it comes all the way, consolidates. So if that happens, that would be amazing, right? Because then we can premium, like the IV will drop because of this chop here, and then we can get a better premium, and then like our reward will be more. So ideally I would like to see some kind of consolidation, like a triangle breakout like this here, right? And it has done that couple times in the past here, like a small one here and then another one here. So this is in the nature of the stock. We want to keep that in mind. So I'm hoping that it does that for a couple. I don't know if it will do anymore, because it's just like this was a big move on a big volume, so it might just go nuts. So yeah, Moving on to our last setup for the day, but not the least, is COLM, Columbia Sportswear Company. And I know you'll be like, why the hell is this guy talking about like sportswear? But guys, people are buying sportswear like crazy. I don't know why. Oh, shit. I don't know why people are buying it, but they're buying it. Like, look at Lulu. Like, Piton ran when they said that, Piton is Peloton. Like, it ran 2 days, right? 10%, 6%, because they just told that they're releasing like sportswear. So, yeah. And I mean, if you look at this chart, it has been in a good consolidation for a while, 2 3 months now. And if you look at the weekly chart here, looks pretty good, right? Look at this trend line here. It's holding this trend line well. It's respecting the it's like this EMA cloud. It's respecting this EMA. It looks like it's just ready to go now, right? And then the question is then, how do you know? Because it can consolidate for the next 10 weeks, right? Who knows? Um, but look, MACD is curling. RSI is 50 plus, and then this is kind of in a squeeze here on weekly and on daily, and it's been in long squeeze, and the relative volume has increased now, and there is a volume gap here, so that's interesting, right? It might just go and fill that gap. And the reason why I say is that it's in the nature of this stock. Look at this. Like, this was a big gap, it filled it, and then it bounced from there. This was a gap here, it filled it, and then it bounced from there. So pretty sure it's gonna fill and do that again, right? This chart has done that in the past, so why wouldn't it do it again? And like, looking at the macro events here, right? Look at this surprise. 1000% surprise is not like it's unrealistic, right? Not a lot of companies do it. So this was great, right? And the whole sector is bullish, right? If you look at the sector for this, it's called BFT here. Oh, I think it's something else. We can check. The way you check the sector is one sec. So there is this website called ETF.com. So I'm gonna check it here on my other window. So let me just verify what's the sector for this. Okay, so I apologize that I don't remember the sector. Oh, it's BFIT. Yeah, I was confused. Yeah, it's BFIT. And if you look at the sector here, I mean, it just made all-time high. And this is a bull flag, right? And we have seen this in the past couple setups, right? Like, it's been consolidating for a while. Look at this big volume bars. So the sector itself is about to make a new high. I mean, it's on a tear. Like, look at this chart. Like, ever since the COVID, is non-stop running, and like, why would it stop now unless like whole market crashes? And I mean, the flow, it's so bullish for this. That's what I think. This was also ultra bullish flow, in my opinion. So I apologize, my system is kind of acting out with all this like recording. I think I need to get a new laptop. So please guys, like and subscribe so I can actually buy a new one. And then yeah, so key levels here, we need, like, look at this resistance here. 105 is a big resistance, so we want to like wait in this case until it breaks this level, like 105. Once it does, next stop is 107 around this area, and then 110 around this area, and then the gap fill. So if it does all of that, and September 17th, I mean, I'll go through the flow. in a minute, but right, we are expecting anywhere between, excuse me, 150 to 600% profit here. IV is a little bit high for September 17th, so I'm thinking about October 15th call here, and looks pretty solid setup in my opinion. And you can even create like if you want like a anchored VWAP, I like to do that sometimes. And you can see here that this has been acting like a resistance for a while, so we want it to kind of break this level. Until then, I'm not touching these. Yeah, I'm not touching this until then. It's kind of like MGI, like it looks kind of like MGI in my opinion, like this chart. But of course, this is a much better setup than MGI is. MGI has been just crushed clear. So I mean, yeah, look, but it's very similar pattern. So this is, oh yeah, I forgot to cover the flow for COLM, and yeah, I mean the flow looks fantastic for this one. Oh yeah, so look at this timing, 15:44, right before market close for October call, and this is a big order, 178k, so looking really good. And like volume for this call is so high than open interest. So, and if you look at the flow history from last 2 days, it's been really positive. Call volume is increasing, so usually that means a big move is coming soon. We want to take advantage of that, because in this case, since it has been in a range, the premium spike will give us the maximum return fast. So keep this one on your radar. It's on my radar. I'm gonna post if it breaks this resistance. If you have trading view, you can set alerts by add alert here, and then you can do crossing up, create, set, and forget. Like, you don't need to just look at the price action all the time. So guys, remember, manage your risk, respect your stop losses, do not average down on your losers. Get out. Like, if you had a trading plan, you would not think of anything, like dip buying wasn't plan of trading plan unless your position size is not 100%. Respect your plan. That is very important. Create a habit, respect your plan. I know that will take a lot of time. It took a lot of time for me. I'm not perfect, but the sooner you realize that, the better it would be. Because even though, let's say that some of your dip buys and average down calls ran up, that's not going to happen all the time. Chances are you lose a lot of money on that. So you want to avoid that. And just like some closing comments before like I wrap up. Be careful, guys. Monday I'm not gonna trade. I have my full-time job anyway, and I need to focus on that. So I feel kind of burned out creating these videos. So guys, please like and subscribe. Please hit the notification bell, because I'm not getting paid by YouTube, because it's a new channel. In case you didn't know, YouTube doesn't pay unless you reach like 1,000 subscribers and like 4,000 hours of watch time, and I'm nowhere near that. So I'm not getting paid for any of this. I'm creating this because I just like to share knowledge, and I want everyone to succeed in trading, and hopefully fast. So guys, yeah, if you have any questions, comments, drop comment below. I had to cover this video a little bit faster than the other ones, just because it's late and I want you guys to see it before market open tomorrow. So with that said, that's a wrap for me. Good luck on your trading tomorrow, next week, and I will catch up with you guys on Twitter. Bye for now.